as you all know, I am going to do another Zoom meeting on this Saturday evening. Okay, so I think I've already put the information out for that. If you would like to attend, listen, as I said the last time I did one of these videos, listen, I totally get it. I totally understand. For those of you who really do want to come, but maybe it's a little embarrassing, you know, when it comes to food addiction, and maybe you don't want to admit it, you know, but the people who are going to be there, nobody's going to know except for the people who are there. So it's not like it's going to be a list, a public list that's open where people can see, you know, John Doe wants to go to the food addiction help group or help meeting on Zoom. You know, nobody's going to see that. All right. So if you want to be a part of it, I have spots available. Again, I said I was going to do more than 20 this time. So I'm not even sure if I reach 20 on this time. But listen, we all have problems and struggles and issues that we deal with when it comes to our food. You know, think about it. You can be grossly obese and say, I don't have a food addiction problem. And I know that. I know that we can do that. Why? Because I did that. I didn't want to admit that I had a problem. But clearly our character shows whether or not we have a problem. It's, you know, one thing about, I don't want to call it exactly food addiction, but one thing about having an overeating problem is you can't hide it. You can't hide it. You can't take it and put it in your pocket and put it away where nobody knows it. If we have an eating problem, guess what? Everyone knows it. All right. So don't be embarrassed about it. Get help with it. You know, if you know that you need to maybe reverse all of your health illnesses that you've got. I know many of us are having high blood pressure. I know that for sure. Many of us are having diabetes. I know that for sure. But the problem is a lot of us, we just don't know what to do about it other than going to the doctor, getting medication. I'm not a doctor. Let me say that up front. The only reason why I'm coming to you and can tell you and give you information is because I went through it. I've experienced it. I've done it. But I've also reversed what I have done as well. So I can tell you what I did to reverse it. So, you know, don't be embarrassed about it. If you want to come to the Zoom meeting, it's a Zoom meeting, it's private. It's only going to be people there who have the same issues going on that we have. Okay. So we're going to be there. Let me tell you what I found that has been so great about the meetings. And for those of you who are watching this, hey, shalom. For those of you all who are watching this, who went to the previous meetings, you're more than welcome to come back. You know, you don't have to worry about asking for a spot. You just email me and let me know. You've got my email. Email me and let me know that you want to attend again. I'll shoot that Zoom link out again on Friday like I did the last time. But you all just don't understand the kind of healing that actually takes place during those meetings. You don't understand the kind of hope that people begin to have during those meetings. Because listen, whether you want to call it food addiction, gluttony, whatever you want to call it, listen, people are feeling hurt because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to handle it. So for many of us who, you know, are spiritual people, we know that there is an eternal salvation issue that comes along with that. If he says, don't commit gluttony, and we're committing gluttony knowing that we're doing it, you don't think if something happens to us the next day that we may have to answer to that, especially if we have, like I said, if I took the body that I had and I stood before the Most High, hey, there ain't no question. He knows up front. He knows specifically up front how I've lived my life and who I have lived it for. Had I taken my body that I had before I got to where I am now, had I taken that body before him, he would have looked at me and said, that's your God. It's right there by your belly button. You showed me because it's lapping over your waistband. He would have known. So listen, let's be honest. For those of you all who are spiritual readers of the word, we have a Father that doesn't play when it comes to sin. Yes, we have one who takes away our sin. But if we do it knowingly and we are willing to do it and we're willing to listen to this appetite that we have, there can't be a good outcome when we're being disobedient to the Father. And he's clearly told us not to be idolatrous towards food, not to be gluttonous towards food. So the reason why I'm telling you that is because that's what I experienced. That was on my conscience every day. And every day I prayed that I would not die, because I knew my spirit man was telling me myself, if I passed, if I died and stood before him, my spirit man already knew. I already knew. Nobody would have to tell me. I had an expectation that if I stood before him, people want to talk about the pearly gates. I wasn't going to be walking through them. And there are going to be millions of people who may not, I'm not the judge, so I can't make that call, but there are possibly millions upon millions of people who may not make it through. I mean, and may have been praying people, Bible reading people, scripture remembering people, may have been and may stand before him and may not walk through the gates. How sad that would be, all because we did not want to deal with our flesh when we had the chance. We did not want to repent of this stomach that we were allowing to lead us before we died. If some of us died tonight, y'all, that's serious. You have to ask yourself, if I died tonight and I know how I allowed my stomach to lead me. If my stomach said jump, I jump. But if the Most High says to jump, had a little hard time jumping. Wasn't so sure I was wanting to do that jump, even though he told me to jump. But if my stomach said jump, how high? What donut shop you want me to go to? You see, those are the things that we have to think about for those who are spiritual. Now let's hop off of the spiritual side of this. Listen. I know that some of us are having issues with our health. I know that some of us are having issues with our weight. Listen, when you have food addiction, it affects a lot of things. It's not this thing of just being embarrassed because, you have to admit that you can't control how you eat. Of course, that's embarrassing. Of course, it's embarrassing when you know you're overweight and you got to pull your pants up on you every time you walk 5 steps. If you was like me and didn't have a butt because your gut was going all the way around your back and it was sliding down on your hip, every 10 steps you're pulling your pants up. I mean, people know. I mean, you know that there is a problem, that there is an issue. So just think about if you're in your 20s and you're going through this. Think about it if you're in your 30s and you're going through this. Listen, it doesn't get any easier. Matter of fact, it gets worse. It gets harder to deal with it. You gain more weight the older that you get. So if you don't hop on it now and start attacking the issue that has been holding many of us back, if we don't go after that issue now, we're going to find out that it's going to hurt us later. And it's going to hurt us as far as our health. Listen, some of us have family issues because of it. Some of us may have spouses that are like getting fed up with our weight. Some of us may be having spouses that are getting fed up with you know, how we're looking. Of course, the older we get, we're going to add on a little more weight here and there. You know, that's the beautiful thing about marriage. When you see your wife and your wife has had children and your wife has picked up a little bit of weight and you looking at her and you like, girl, you still look good. You've done had 6 kids and you are looking awesome, you know, and you're looking at your wife. But see, it's not always like that. Sometimes it's, honey, I mean, you're getting bigger. What are you going to do about this? And a lot of times it's the wives coming to the husbands because they're concerned about the husband staying around. And sometimes it's the wives saying, honey, what are you going to do about it? Do you know, you all know there are relationships that come to an end because somebody can't get control of their weight or they can't get control of their diet? Do you know relationships come to an end because people's health starts to get bad, and it's because we have an uncontrollable diet, an uncontrollable sensation to eat? It affects us in a whole lot of ways. And then comes the part of embarrassment. I know it because I lived it. It's embarrassing when you're walking and somebody right next to you and you know your wife looks over at you and says, why are you breathing hard? And you're like, I'm not breathing hard. Knowing good and well, you like, you know, you can't catch your wind because we're so out of shape. Y'all, I've been there. I've done it. I'm not downing anybody. I'm just telling you where I've been. I'm telling you that it doesn't get any easier the older that you get. So I tell you this out of love. I tell you this because I have hope for you, because I tell people all the time, if I can do it, you can do it. Think about how much better your marriage would be if your gut wasn't in the way. Think about how much better your health would be if you were lighter on your feet. Think about how much better you would feel if you had energy that you didn't know what you could do with it. Think about that. Married men, let me talk to you, and I'm gonna be on the down when I say this, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Married men, listen. If you're having problems, you can reverse those problems. You don't have to keep having problems, and then, you know, as the year goes, let me tell you about that issue that men have sometimes. Can I tell you a little bit of information about that? That problem that men have, it is, I don't know if anybody's told you this before, it is a heart issue, not a heart in the head issue. It is a physical heart issue. That is a sign of a heart condition. Those blue pills that they tell you to take, you better be careful with those things. They boost your blood pressure. It is a heart issue. It's a sign. High blood pressure. It is a heart issue. If you have high blood pressure, you are running to the finish line faster than everyone else. You're getting there quicker than everyone else. No, the finish line of life, you want to be the slowest. You want to be the tortoise when it comes to the finish line of life. You want to take your time and get there all nice and slow and do your slow walking. You don't want to get there fast. I'm telling you. I don't know. Maybe some of you, if you have drug addictions, it's about the same thing. It's really the same thing. You're still dealing with dopamine in the mind. You're dealing with an issue that is causing you to have psychological problems, and it's causing you to have physical problems. So when you try to quit, guess what happens to you? You start hurting. So when you try to quit eating the bad food for you, you start hurting. So you quit because now you're getting a headache. Now you're getting the flu symptoms and it's hurting. So you quit and you go back to that food. It's because that food is a drug. It's called ultra processed food. All right. And it's something that you really need to get some help with. So I want to offer my help to you this Saturday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. I believe it's the 6th. This Saturday night is going to be the 6th. Please come. I don't beat anybody up. Nobody puts anybody down. We just let you speak, say how you feel. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk. Hey, I do the talking anyway. But I give people the opportunity to talk and get off of their chest what's going on with them. And if you feel like you need that kind of help, hey, email me at support@fruitforyourlife.com. support@fruit4yourlife.com. Sign up. I'll put you on my registration list. I will send you a Zoom link and show up for it. This is like, many of us don't understand, this is like a life or death situation. Because sooner or later, I'm going to give you a principle that I teach. This principle is called pleasure-pain principle. And this pleasure-pain principle simply means this. We do a lot of things in our life to bring pleasure to us. But maybe years down the road, months down the road, days down the road, that pleasure that we're enjoying brings pain to us. So if you're enjoying the pleasure and you're not thinking about the pain that comes later, you're deceiving yourself. It's going to come. Look around your communities where you live. Surely there's people that you see. Surely there's people today that you don't see, that you used to see. I'm sure, like me, you see people riding around in wheelchairs who's had their legs amputated. I'm sure you have people, maybe even in your family, have their toes amputated, ankles amputated, up to the knees amputated. Then we go to the other leg, amputating toes, same thing. I've known people who have had both legs cut off before. And some of the things that was said was, I've been this way all my life and I'm not going to change now. And every part starts to decay. Listen, that's a bad way to think. If the Most High has given you the opportunity and you've lost a foot, and He's allowed you to come to this point right now where you realize you need to do something about it, and He lets you keep your other foot, you better hop on the opportunity. Look, go somewhere to get help. I'm not saying you got to go to me. Go somewhere to get help. If you do not get help now, you will pay for it later. Yeah, let me say that again. If you do not get help now, you will pay for it later. And the sad part about it is, it's not just you that pays for it. It's your spouse. Ladies, if you're married, it's your husband that pays for it with you. Husbands, it's your wife that has to pay for it with you. They've got to be there beside you, take care of you. They got to do all the things that you can't really do. And then your children have to pay for it with you. When they watch mom or dad start getting things cut off of their bodies, they go through the exact same thing. They feel pain. They may not feel the pain of a limb being cut off, but they feel the pain of watching you suffer. So don't suffer. You can reverse most illnesses today. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just telling you from my own experience, you can reverse most of your illnesses. Let me tell you why. Because whole food is not medication. Medication treats the symptom of the problem. Whole food treats the whole problem. All right? So I know that this may be a little tough for some of you. Sometimes we need tough love. Sometimes we need people who ain't going to pull no punches with us. Many times people, when we go to church, they're not going to say nothing to your church because most of us there, guess what? We're overweight. How are we going to say something about it? Many of our friends, they're not going to say anything to us about it. Why? Because number one, they don't want to hurt us. Number two, they're in the same situations that we in. It's just the truth. I can't lie. I've been put in this spot to do and say what I'm supposed to say. And it's to wake some of us up. Hopefully it's to wake all of us up, but I know that's not going to happen. But I know some of you want help. I know some of you do. Contact me. Fruit for your life. Okay, so go to my email, please. support@fruit, the number 4, yourlife.com. And hopefully I will see you there on Saturday night on the 6th, and I will see you at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. It is never too late for you to change. I don't care how much you weigh. You can weigh 500 pounds. If you take off 100, you're going to live longer than you did when you were 500. If you take off 200, you're going to live longer than you would have had you been 500 or 400 pounds. If you take off 300, you're going to live a lot more longer than you would have at 300 and 400 and 500. If you lose 300 pounds, 400 pounds, that's the longer you're going to live and be able to see your spouse and see your children and see your grandchildren. Ain't that what life is about? Life is about family. Why would we do anything different than to get ourselves in the place where we can raise our children and help raise our grandchildren? That is a duty of us. That is a responsibility of us to be able to do that. So I'm done preaching, but I would love to see some of you there. Many of you who are going to be watching this later after this is over with, you need to be there. Okay? You need to be there. I'll actually put in the description up above, I'll actually put the email to get a hold of me. Nobody's going to yell, fuss, put anybody down. It's all about love. And sometimes it can be about tough love because, you know, we hard-headed folk. All right? So, hey, I'll see you all there. I'll see you all then. And do what you got to do to get to where you got to get. All right? I want this to be your destination for transformation. All right? I'll see you there. Don't forget to go to my YouTube channel, From Process to Pure Food Movement. Go there. You're going to see videos about food addiction. And if you have a question about food addiction, if you have food addiction, you're going to see some of the videos there that will help answer those questions. All right? All right. I'm going to get out of y'all's hair. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you on the next video that I do. Take care.